I get the great pleasure to introduce today's speaker. And I have to say that I feel like I need to give you just a little bit of background because people have said to me, why that topic? Why our chamber? What does that have to do with our community? And I'll tell you how it started for me, so just indulge me a moment. It started with my buddy Susan Kelsey over here, who invited me last November to a get-together at Lake Forest Sports Cars that was an opportunity for members of the community to meet and find out about a program called Thrive Project for America. And I came that night not knowing what to expect, but I heard a presentation by Michael Keppen, who is sitting here at this table, who did a presentation about how the mindset and the training and just the approach that military professionals take as part of their training and have as part of their operation and just everything that they are, how that can be beneficial to kids, how that can be taken out into the community to change the way that our kids are growing up and the way that they will approach the rest of their lives and the things that they do. And I was really taken by that, and I invited both Michael and Justin, who I also met last night, to come to our networking event the next morning, which was before work. They came the next morning, and they wowed the crowd. And I know that there are some of you that were in here that heard about the presentation and just were really taken by this. And I'm observing this. And then it goes still further, that I had met with Justin after that, and Susan said to me, let's go down to the bunker where Justin is the executive director, and it's down at 1871. And for those who aren't familiar with that, that is located at Merchandise Mart, and it is this incredible incubator, accelerator, resource for entrepreneurs that is just putting Chicago on the map. And Bunker Labs is part of this. So we go down to the muster in May, which was an opportunity for some of these entrepreneurs and businesses that are part of the bunker to do pitches and to do presentations of a few minutes each for the crowd, along with some wonderful speakers and some wonderful sponsors. And I know that Dave Aumuller is here from Federal Savings Bank, and we saw each other there, and there are others who have had a military background or who are just so inspired to assist this. Listening to those presentations was awe-inspiring, because as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, these are people that are starting with nothing but an idea. And it might be an idea that came out of something that they experienced as part of their military background, or something that they brought with them that they thought should be and could be a business. And here are these people who were sharing with them and motivating them to create these businesses. Fast forward, I'm thinking, you know what, there's something really wonderful coming out of this that was resonating with me. And I had a couple of meetings with Justin and with some other people involved, and I thought, you know what, this really could be a wonderful message for all of us, because we don't think like entrepreneurs. At any rate, this all resonates, because what we need to do is think and look at all of it differently. We need to, again, we need to embrace change and not brace ourselves against it. We need to assess, we need to strategize, we need to execute, and that's what I've learned is the message of these gentlemen up front here who have brought this fantastic program to us. So let me tell you just a little bit about Justin Walker as we go forward. Justin is a 12-year Naval Special Warfare veteran, an entrepreneur, and a nonprofit leader whose background in Naval Special Warfare has given him the opportunity to travel the world fighting for our country in numerous clandestine missions in enemy-controlled territory. But it also gave him the tools to be able to train over 15,000 Navy SEAL and SWCC students, as well as operators, and get them mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared for their rigorous future. Taking that into civilian life, he's become an entrepreneur. He has helped Fortune 500 companies improve their executive teams. He has helped create Thrive, which has helped develop numerous children in our community to help them become more confident and competent. And as a nonprofit leader, he helped to create and manage Bunker Labs, which is a Chicago-based business incubator and nationally recognized organization in now 12 cities, built by military veteran entrepreneurs to empower other military veterans as leaders in innovation. Justin is also the co-founder and managing partner of Permanent Solutions Training, which is an initiative offering programming geared to businesses, organizations, to youth, and to all of us. It is my very great pleasure to introduce Justin Walker.
Thank you so much, John. Oh man, is anybody else nervous? I get nervous. I get nervous every time I talk, but I won't dive too much more into my personal history, but what I would like to do is give you a little bit of background about myself, dive into a little bit about my business and what we've ended up creating and why we created it, and then we'll get into a little bit of the programming for today, okay? Sound fun? Can we knock that out? All right, great. So I grew up in Kansas, which is really fun. So I actually I was sitting there washing dishes, I was baling hay, I was working at McDonald's for about 2 to 3 years, which is, again, this upper class, just making it happen. And I had to get out of there. Like, I had to just leave the place. And I also took a couple electronics classes, so I was thinking about going into that field a little bit, but who wants to grow up in Parsons, Kansas, being an electrician? Not me. So luckily I had an opportunity. I met a recruiter that came to my high school, and I said, okay, I got to talk to this guy, see what's going on here, and joined the Navy. And he was telling me about this thing called SWCC, which is a Special Warfare Combat Crewman. Essentially, we are Maritime Special Forces Insertion Extraction Specialists. We get people in and out of really bad situations all around the world. And this sounded pretty intriguing to me for a couple reasons. One being that he said it was the Navy's best kept secret. And I was like, ooh, that's intriguing. Let's see what that's all about. So it's like, okay, so there's 600 of, he told me at the time, actually, there was 400 of them in the Navy. There's 1.4 million people serving in our military across our forces. And 400 are SWCC operators. So I said, okay, I want to do that. I want to become that thing. And so I did. I went on and practiced and trained and got ready for it and succeeded, went out, traveled around the world, was in Guam, was in Israel, I was in Africa, all over Europe, all over South America, all over the Philippine archipelago, just went all around the world, and eventually got to a point where I'd actually broken my back, and I needed to take a little break from operating. So I became an instructor, and this is where I really found my passion for teaching, for training, and educating others, training, educating, and mentor these young individuals, 18 to 27-year-old young men, getting them mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared for follow-on training. So I really found a passion. I wasn't really good at it at the beginning, but eventually got to the point where we figured out some problems that we were seeing. And one of the biggest issues that we saw for the students was that they were extremely physically capable of moving through training. They were very physically capable of doing the actual physical tasks, but where they lacked was the mindset, their mental fortitude, the resilience to help them overcome these obstacles. And we said, okay, well, is it generational? A lot of people just want to blame it on the generation. So we said, you know what, we're going to take ownership of this situation, and we're going to try to see if we can create a mindset development training program that builds resilience, that builds teamwork, that helps people understand the importance of the things that we value as a seasoned military veteran operator. So we asked ourselves, what's important to us? And the answer always came back to the same thing. The answer always came back to the same thing. No matter how many operators you go out and meet, the answer will be the same. It's for the person next to you. Every move you make is for the person next to you. But the students, when they say they join the Navy, the first question on these little things called hard cards, it says, why did you join the Navy? And the first thing they say is, well, I joined the Navy because to fight for my country, which, yeah, we all did. Great. What else? I chose it for the adrenaline rush. Hell yeah, we did. That's great. But then the answer is we actually did it for brotherhood. That's why we're here. And that translates on so many levels, and it's a problem that they couldn't really grasp during their time in 8 weeks in boot camp. So what we decided to do is try to create an accelerated mindset development program. And we implemented this program several times. We tested it once and then waited to see the results. And typically we graduate about 10 to 17 people in a SWCC program at the end of about a year and a half of training. And we typically have about 100 people show up. So that's a 90% attrition rate. That's a big problem. So we said, okay, let's implement this. We did it. Graduation rates increased by 800%. 800% increase in graduations. That means productivity increased by 800%. So in business, what does increased productivity mean? That means money. So we tested it again. We saw the same results. And then we tested it. We said, okay, well, this is Seal and Swick are just for men, so let's make sure we can do this for women too, because we don't Navy SEAL and Swick students, we don't have females in our program. So we went and tested it on an all-female division. Again, this is not a physical training program. A lot of mindset development stuff is, get mentally stronger through physical adversity. That's not what this is about. This is about just strictly mindset development training. So we did it for an all-female division, and we saw the same result. An all-female division typically had about 30 to 40%. If you don't believe me, the guy that runs the program is sitting right over here. They had about a 30 to 40% attrition rate, and we implemented the program. 100% of those women graduated. So we said, okay, we've got something. Let's go out and let's test it, and let's see what's going on in the world, and see if we can actually turn this into a business. So we did. We took it out. We started running youth programs here in Lake Forest. I lived here for 3 years, just down over by South Park. It was a fantastic time. Just moved over to Fort Sheridan, where Ann Whipple's my neighbor. But yeah, we started running youth programs here, and now as we were running youth programs, a couple people said, maybe you should be doing this for organizations. I said, okay. So we started to do it for a couple organizations, started seeing a little bit of success. I said, okay, well, let's take this a step further. So that brings us to now, where you're going to get to experience a little bit about what we're doing for some of these organizations. So the first thing I need you to do, I don't know if everybody's got a pen on them or not, but if you don't, no big deal. What I'd like to do is kind of set some goals for the day, for this 30 minutes that we have together. Let's set some goals. And you just toss them out. Raise your hand, just toss them out. What have you got? What are some goals? What are some things you want to take away from today's session in regards to mindset development, leadership, and inspiring success? What are some things you want to take away? Go ahead and write them down, and then let's share them. I'll give you 30 seconds to think about it. What are some things you want to take away from today? All right, let's toss a couple out. What have you got? Who's got one? Yes, over here.
So I would like to overcome overwhelming feeling.
Overcome the overwhelmed feeling. Gotcha. Too much to do, not enough time. Figure out how to shift the mindset a little bit in order to establish that. Got it? What else? Yes? New ideas to expand thinking. Wonderful. What else? Yes?
Embracing change instead of being scared by it.
Embracing change instead of being scared by it. Wonderful. What else? One more. Give me one more. Yes?
One thing which I can implement in a powerful way.
One thing you can implement in a powerful way. Wonderful. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Those are our goals for the day. Everybody heard a couple of those. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to show you a video, and I want you to pay attention to the words that are being said in the video. And as the guy's talking, this is a video about the Navy SEAL water obstacle course, which is out in Virginia, which is absolutely incredible. It's a lot of fun, but it's very challenging, mentally, physically, and emotionally. So the guy that's talking, he's going to say a few things. He's going to be speaking the whole time. Just listen to what he says and write down the key words that stand out to you.
They say that a rope of many cords is not easily broken. A rope itself may be a single cord, but in its many threads, wound together in unison, it is too strong to ever be torn apart. On these ropes, we do more than just find out what we are capable of. We find out the one thing that binds us all together. The purpose of our water obstacle course is to test our agility, our abilities, our stamina, our strengths, but it's also about finding our weaknesses, about identifying the things that we can improve to better ourselves and our team. Some men run from adversity, but a chosen few have made it their calling to embrace it. These obstacles are where we prepare our bodies for the conditions of maritime missions and rescue operations. But this course is about more than building physical endurance. It's about mental strength. It's about seeing what it takes to keep going, to press on, to be a part of a team that never gives up and never gives in. The men who excel here possess a rare combination of physical skills, honed in training and applied on the battlefield and on missions abroad. Their strength is derived from a commitment to their country, of dedication to their mission, and loyalty to the brotherhood they are a part of. To brothers who have gone before us, and those who will come after we've gone, the rope of many strands can never be broken.
So what are some of the key words that popped out to people? Yes?
Stamina,
Stamina. Got any more? Yeah, keep going. What do you got?
team,
Team.
embrace,
Embrace.
adversity,
Adversity.
mental strength,
Mental strength.
dedication,
Dedication.
mission,
Mission.
loyalty,
Loyalty. Dang.
brotherhood.
Brotherhood. Brotherhood. What else? So we got more? Yes.
Together, agility, testify and improve better and press on.
Improve better and press on. Yep. Anything else? Yep. Purpose. Ability to embrace adversity. Yeah.
So the final phrase is what popped out at me, the strand of...
It's the rope of many strands. There you go. Yeah. What else? One more. Prepare. Okay, so these are the actions that are going to that would need to be taken in order for you to accomplish the actual goals that you want to take out and work on today as well. So I'm going to show you one more video because it's missing a word. Does anybody know what that word is? It's missing something. Something that's extremely important.
Let's all be water wise. Step in on the center line and keep the boat steady. Always maintain a proper speed. When in trouble, a signal should be fired immediately. Follow these tips for many hours of happy boating.
Anybody own a boat in here? Don't give it to me. All right, so what's the takeaway real quick? Humor. You got to have fun. You got to have fun as you're moving through all this stuff. As you're building out your plan to attack the world and go out and do things, you cannot forget to have fun. So, with that being said, what we're going to do is talk about how to actually accomplish some of these goals. And part of me wants to, we're going to do a little game. That's what we're going to do. Where's the trash cans? Here we go. We're going to put this into action, all right? We're going to try to do all the things that we said we were going to do. Can you put this down here by you, Susan? Is that fine? I'll put this like right here. Okay? And we'll put this other one, let's see, right over here. And now, has everybody got like a blank piece of paper or something they could wad up into a ball? Minus my piece of paper. Fine. All right, there's grab one of those green pieces. What's that? I don't know what that is. I feel bad. Is this okay? All right, here we go. Should have prepared for this. We needed more white paper, team. All right, here we go. Rip the paper in half. Oh, I didn't follow instructions. Failure to follow instructions, drop down. Push-ups. I'm kidding. Rip it in half. And then wad both pieces up into a ball. Two separate balls. Good. Good question. All right. Are we ready? We're going to try to apply some of these concepts that we just heard. in order to accomplish our mission, to accomplish our goals. So what I want you to do is from where you are sitting, you don't have to get up, don't have to do anything. From where you are sitting, on the count of 3, I want you to throw one of those pieces of balls. I want you to get one of those pieces of balls in that trash can. On the count of 3. 1. Hang on. I said on the count of 3. Now the ball represents all your hopes and dreams and all your successes. Everything it is you ever wanted to accomplish. So try really hard. And the trash can represents actual success. Proximity to the trash can represents privilege. So on the count of 3, get your piece of paper into the trash can. 1, 2, 3. All right. There we go. Hey, come on now. Stop helping other people's dreams. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to shift your mindset in about 2 seconds. I'm going to help you try to shift your focus and shift what's important to you in order for you to actually try a little harder to get your piece of paper into the trash can on the second time. And how I'm going to do that is by helping you understand the importance of other people, the importance of brotherhood, the importance of caring about an individual. So I need a volunteer. And we have one. There she is. Please come to the center of the room. You do not need your paper. Those represent all your hopes and dreams. Stay right there, right there. So, nope, you're fine. All right, everyone, we're going to throw our paper at her. No, I'm kidding. So here's the plan. What I want you to think about is if anybody misses this time, if anybody's piece of paper does not go in that trash can, all of her hopes, all of her dreams will crumble. And what happens when something like that happens to an individual? What happens? You die a little inside, right? So essentially you're killing her if you don't get your piece of paper into the trash can. She dies. But again, what I want you to think about is what are all the things that we just talked about that we wanted to actually start to embrace? What was it? Change, adaptability, whatever. Like the whole list goes on and on and on. So I want you to think about it. What are you going to do to get your piece of paper into the trash can? So, on the count of 3, the rules are to get your piece of paper into the trash can. On the count of 3. 1, 2, no, you can't leave your chair. 1, 2, 3. Go. All right. So what just happened? Do all of you know each other? Only a few of you? Do you know her really well? Do all her hopes and dreams really matter? You can have a seat, please. Thank you very much. Let's give her a round of applause, too, by the way. That's a scary move when a Naval Special Warfare guy asks you to be a volunteer. It's like, you never know what's going to happen. So what happened? What happened right there? Let's talk about it. Found another way of doing it? Well, my question, let me go back. Let me re-ask the question. Why didn't you do that the first time? Why? Yeah, me. When we make choices, did you have one more thing to add?
No, it's just a demonstration. I can't do it
Right. It's taking into consideration somebody else whenever you're about to go make a decision changes the way that you act. It changes your behavior, not only with yourself, but with other people. So we typically ask ourselves 3 questions whenever it's time to make a decision. Is it possible? Can I do it? And what's in it for me? The question I want to challenge everybody in this room to start doing, just do this for 24 hours. You don't have to do it for the rest of your life, but I'd like you for 24 hours to try to start asking yourself a 4th question. What's in it for other people? What's in it for other people? As you go off and you start making choices, what is in it for other people? And this is going to actually bleed into our leadership aspect of what we're trying to accomplish today. As you're moving through life, you find yourself in various situations that cause you to be exposed to a different set of emotions than you would have expected. And how many of you ever heard of Jennifer S. Lerner from Harvard University? She compiled 35 years of evidence that supports the notion that emotions powerfully, pervasively, and predictably affect decision making. And she published this in September of 2014, this study. 35 years of evidence, all of it supporting the notion that emotions powerfully, pervasively, and predictably affect decision making. So if that's true, then it just kind of makes sense to be a little bit more self-aware in various situations. And as we become more self-aware, our empathy grows for other people. And if we take other people into consideration when we make that decision, we have the opportunity for better decision making. And if we act on that and make the better decision in social situations, what happens? We're with our families, our friends, our coworkers all day long, and then we go home, we're back with our families. So if we're making better choices with our family, if we're making better choices at work, if we're making better choices in our social situations, what happens to us? What's the byproduct? A more stable and enjoyable lifestyle, right? So it just kind of makes sense. And it's a buzzword right now, emotional awareness, EQ. It's like this buzzword that's floating around in organizations right now, but it's real. It's a real thing. And pay attention to it. And in various situations, you're going to be dealing with a whole set of emotions, and you've got to be capable of knowing the type of motivation you need and when you need it so that you can pull yourself out of whatever mindset that you're in. And in our training, we've identified three mindsets, A, B, or C type mindset. And those are in this room right now. There's an A, B, and a C type mindset. An A type mindset is somebody that just gets it, no questions asked. They're going to move 100 miles an hour. There's probably a lot more A's in this room than anything, but they're going to move 100 miles an hour to get the job done. It's just going to happen. It's statistically, in what we've noticed, there's about 10% of the group in any special warfare class was A-type mentality. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you have a C-type mentality. Somebody that just is there because somebody told them it was cool, somebody that's just there to collect a paycheck. They're just existing and not really meeting really any standards. And then your B-type mentality is somebody that's kind of in the middle. They're good performers, they're getting the job done, but you know they could be better. You've seen them be better in a couple situations, so you try to pull that out of them. You try to inspire success, inspire some leadership for them to start taking ownership of their situation and moving forward. And you're experiencing these emotions. So as you're moving from an A to a B or a C type situation, which you might be in an A type situation at work, and then you have to go hang out with your mother-in-law, and that's not always so fun. So you might be in a C type mindset in that situation. And if you're in a C-type situation in that situation, and if you're in a C-type mindset in that situation, you need to know how to pull yourself out of that mindset. And that all comes down to knowing the type of motivation you need and when you need it. And if that means you have to get up and go take a break so that you can recoup and gather your thoughts, then do that. Go recoup, gather your thoughts, get right back in the game. Because other people are relying on you to do a good job and perform in whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So, in regards to that, A, B, or C-type mentality, we need more A's, is what I'm getting at. We need more A-type mentalities in everything it is that we do, in business, in life, at work, at school, the kids, everybody that we're coming across, we need more A-type mentalities. And it's our job as leaders to go out and inspire this and get them excited about becoming an A-type mentality. Stop backing away from difficulty. Stop backing away from the hard things and attack the hard stuff with a ferocity like you never have before. But it's up to us to lead them into that. It's up to us to drive them forward. But how do we do that? So let's talk about that for a minute. So how many of you ever felt like you're in over your head with your hands tied behind your back? Anybody? Just talking about it, right? What do you think is going on in his mind right now? Looks pretty calm, right? For those of you that can see. He looks pretty calm. But for those of you that can't see, we got a guy in the water over here with his head tied behind his back. So what's going on in this guy's head, I can tell you. He's calm because he knows he's going to be just fine. He's going to figure it out. A-type mentality, he gets it. And other people are relying on him to perform. They're relying on him to hold his breath appropriately. He understands that in the future, if he graduates, he's going to be relied upon. People are going to trust him. They're going to know that he did what it took to actually accomplish the mission. And for those of you that don't know, this is drown proofing in the training programs we go through. This is called surf torture. So when you can't feel it right now, but these guys are freezing. They're just absolutely cold. So when you're in a team type environment, when you're experiencing this, whenever you're not just by yourself, but you've got your team next to you and you're all suffering together, what do you think's going through their mind right now? Think it's just give up or quit? Say it again. I'm not alone. Hang on tight, right? Do it for the person next to you. Stay strong for the person next to you. That's what's going through their head. And eventually, as you're moving through life, you're going to get to a point where you're like the guy in the front there, when you're in the worst case scenario, when you're freezing, you're covered in mud, and you've got nothing left to give, and you're still smiling. Because you're looking at the life in a different way. You're looking at every move you make in a completely different way. Because you're excited about the challenges. You get excited about the difficulty that you're about to face. And you welcome it. And you challenge it. And you set yourself up appropriately. You build out your time management schedules, etc. And you go along with it. But you're happy about it. You get to the point where it becomes, you embrace it. And you get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's like a little mantra you could even start saying to yourself. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. So what exactly is going through their head? This is something that I eventually called trust and a shared sense of purpose. Something I actually learned from General Stanley McChrystal in one of his books, Team of Teams. Has anybody ever read that? Wonderful. So in this situation, they've worked through the individual stuff of feeling like they're in over their head. They've worked through the team difficulties, and they're finally to a point where there is a level of trust and shared sense of purpose that goes beyond anything anybody else has ever done in their life. And one of the things that this can be done on a small scale, or it could be done on a large scale. So here's the book. The guy's incredible. And whether your perspective on the war is one way or the other, what I'd like you to focus on in regards to what General Stanley McChrystal did is that he increased productivity on a massive scale. And what I mean by that, 7,000 person organization, multinational, they're everywhere. He's got people everywhere, different organizations he's working with, got every single person relying on him to do his job and do it well. And what did he do? He took a siloed process, a very traditional hierarchical structure, and he got them to function like this. Think of this in terms of communication flow and productivity. If communication increases, productivity can increase. And that doesn't mean implement tons of technology to make it work. That just means trust each other. You can't develop trust and a shared sense of purpose with a device. You're going to have actual conversations with people. So let me tell you a little bit more about what he did. In 2004, this was the typical structure. He's taken a look at the actual structure of communication, the flow of communication. The green blocks on the bottom actually represent everybody kind of on the ground, doing operations, running raids, and trying to just get the job done. When they find something and when they do a raid, they send that information back up to the task unit commander, and it eventually gets itself all the way back to Washington, D.C., where a decision needs to be made. Information will then flow back down the chain of command all the way back down to the guys on the ground, who go then and do another raid or another mission where they have to go find and act on that intelligence that they found. So how long do you think that took? Take a guess. 5 days to a couple weeks for that information flow to go back and forth. You do not have actionable information at that time. You just don't. Now, I'm not saying every organization, every company operates that way, but this is what he noticed. So then he said, well, you know what? We need to operate a little bit more like Special Forces teams. We need to operate a little bit more like Navy SEALs, Army Rangers, Delta Force, Dev Group. We need to operate a little bit more like these guys. So he started trying to make all of his teams function a little bit better by increasing communication, developing a little bit more trust, getting them to talk to each other, giving them a little bit more autonomy to actually make some decisions as well. And then taking it a step further, he said, you know what, that's not good enough. And they went from 10 raids, by the way, or 7 raids per month in the last slide, to about 17 raids per month on this slide. So they increased productivity by 100%. And now, 2006, how many raids do you think they were able to go do? based on this communication flow, by allowing the autonomy, by allowing the information flow to be almost immediate, by allowing decisions to be made on the ground. They increased raids up over 300. Not with extra money, not with extra equipment. They did it just by increasing the way they communicated with each other. And also, if you take a look, all of these blocks have different colors around them. Going back to the previous slide, they're all still in the same silo. So think of this as like Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. And then he started mixing all of us up. And we hated it. I remember this. I remember going through this. It was awful. Question.
Where's the gray cube? It's gone.
It is gone, but in the book, he talks about moving that cube into the center so that he became that hub of communication by moving his desk from the back office and moved it out into the middle to create almost a complete transparency so people could see what's going on. And he gave everybody access to information. Even the guy taking out the trash had a top secret clearance so that they could continue to develop that trust and a shared sense of purpose. And as he did that, communication increased. When communication increased, productivity increased. For businesses, that means money. So in regards to leadership, it would say it's our job to create an environment that allows a system of communication flow, a system of trust and a shared sense of purpose to develop. It's our job to create that for the people we're working with. And not just the people we're working with, but for our customers. Because again, like Joanna said, I've developed a lot of businesses as well, and if you don't have the same approach towards your customers of trying to inspire them and educate them on what's going on, you're going to have a very difficult time moving forward. And as far as getting people to believe in what you're doing, and you know, this is in regards to the people that you're working with as well. Those beliefs are driving decisions. Those beliefs are driving their emotions, which affect your decisions, right? So if we can create an environment that allows the culture of our company to thrive a little bit better, to function a little bit better, for people to operate on a different level, then the decisions that the people in our companies are going to start making is going to drive those results, which again increases revenue, but it increases the experience, the customer experience for our businesses as well. It increases the amount of engagement from our staff to go out and actually reach out to people because they're actually taking other people into consideration when they make those decisions. Why am I going to actually stand out here? Does anybody know Gabe Vitti? Over down in Miramar, the guy, he's standing outside every night, right? And he's engaging, he's shaking hands, he's always fun, and he's always excited. Like he spends time with you and makes you feel important as a customer. How many other restaurants do you see doing anything like that? I don't see a lot, and I don't know if anybody really likes Gabe Vitti or not, but I just think that it's an incredible situation for the guy to be standing out there almost on a nightly basis to greet people and make them feel welcome and make them feel comforted for being in his establishment. I think that's a wonderful approach to giving customer satisfaction. And not only that, he is leading by example. And this is something I like to call like lifestyle leadership. If you start being the person you want your people to become, your business is just going to flow in the right direction. Be that person. And one thing I want to give you, one of you asked for a tool or something you could take back and practice with. There's another sheet of paper underneath the top one, and you'll see a Venn diagram. And this is a developmental tool that I used to use for the students as well. And this Venn diagram, on one side it says humility, one side it says confidence. I want to talk about real quick on the extremes of that. Confidence at the extreme is what? You got overconfidence. What kind of person is that? Arrogant? What else? What else happens? Self-centered? What else? Turns people off, turns off customers too, right? What else? Self-assured? This is a sales team thing too. A lot of sales teams are overconfident, and maybe they're even satisfied, so they become complacent with their situation. A lot of sales teams, they're just complacent. Their boss may say, hey, we want you to increase sales by X. And they're like, no, I'm good. Sales are fine. Sales have been fine for a while. So, or they just wait for things to come in, or they don't go out and try to find leads. They don't try to do anything more than what you've actually, what's almost handed to them. But you can't just get rid of them. So how do you develop them? This is a way. They're becoming complacent. They're not proud of they don't have that humility attached to it. So what happens though if you're on the opposite end of the spectrum of humility? What happens? No, on the opposite end, for the humility circle. What happens if you're at the wrong end of the spectrum on that one? If you're too humble? Lack of confidence, what else? Yeah, you're hiding in a hole. You're not using your voice. What else? Inaction. Yeah, you let fear take over and you just freeze. What else? If you're too humble, you can become ineffective. Weak, people perceive you to be weak, right? You get walked on a lot, which does what to our self-confidence as a person? It drives you down even more, so it's not actually helping you go anywhere, right? So it's our job as leaders to, again, say, hey, identify yourself at one of these two situations. The ideal operator is sitting right in the center. And here's one thing. It's okay to get confident, to get a little bit more confident in certain situations, especially as a salesman. You got to actually learn when to lean in and learn when to back off a little bit. And you got to learn how to do that very well. But you got to think of it in terms of having a tether kind of attached to you. As you start to get a little bit more aggressive with a situation, you got to remember, I still need to move it back to the center. I still need to find my balance. And it's okay to back off on the opposite side as well and say, you know what, this situation requires me to be a little bit more humble. So I need to chill out, which Special Forces guys have to do a lot. So you guys don't get the joke. It's fine. So this is a tool you can take back with you and kind of just do a quick little self-assessment with your teams and just ask them, hey, where do you think you fit in? Most of them will just point right to the center. Oh, I'm right here. Actually, you're not. Your performance says otherwise. So it's just a little bit of a tool. So in wrapping all this up, I know we all have things to do today. I just want you to really take into consideration one of the biggest lessons that you could ever learn and start applying to your teams and asking them to start applying in their lifestyles. And that is to care more about the person next to them. To do more for people next to you. And what's the fourth question I'm challenging everybody to go home and work on? What is that? What's in it for other people? So even if you're going to go home tonight and get a glass of water, and your wife's in the other room or your husband's in the other room, get another glass of water and take it to them and just bring it to them. They may not have asked for it. They may not have wanted it at all. They're probably not going to drink it. But what does the gesture show? That you care. That matters on a huge level. Even with the people we work with. Understanding them a little bit better by doing simple gestures that show that we actually care about being in the same room with them. That we're glad that they're there. And you can do all that without saying a word. So that wraps up pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I really want to thank all of you for the opportunity as well. You can find us at forgingelitemindsets.com. You can find me at justin@forgingelitemindsets. That's my email. And on LinkedIn, happy to reach out and talk to anybody more about the other things that we've got going on as well. If anybody has any questions about the Bunker Labs, which is a nonprofit organization that helps military veterans start and grow businesses, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. So thank you all so much for coming. I hope you had a good lunch, and I hope you had a little bit of fun. And I hope we accomplished the goals that we set for the beginning of the day. Do you feel like we did? Yeah? Awesome. That's great. That's a good win. So, all right. Hopefully you got something to take back with you and help your team members and your, hopefully, whoever you're working with and your families work better as a team. Do we have any questions?
One quick question. You mentioned emotion powerfully, pervasively, and then what was that third P?
Predictably. So if I'm angry, probably not going to be making really good decisions, right? Other questions? All right. Yeah?
I was going to say, if any of you have any questions, I know we've reached the 1 o'clock mark, so if you have to go, that's fine, but if Justin's willing to stay for a couple of minutes to answer more questions.
Happy to stay and answer any questions, and if any of you want to talk about anything in the future regarding history, what we're doing now, I'm happy to do so. Thank you all so much.